Thanks for coming, Pez. We're talking about meditation today. This is the third part of this interview. Pez is from Still Point Meditation, and her and I've had the pleasure of getting to know each other the last few months. And like I said, this is the third part of this interview, and I think it's just as important as the others, right? But what we want to dive into right now is how to help individuals like you find a meditation practice in your community. What does it look like? What names are you looking for? Right. That sort of thing. So let's talk about that.
It's great to know what meditation is, but if you don't know where to find support for it.
Exactly.
And you know, you can get books and use YouTube and have a successful meditation practice, but I'd really encourage all of you to find a group to support and to sit with. So what are you looking for? So if you're looking for the sort of meditation that I'm talking about, the mindfulness with those three skills that are going to raise your baseline level.
And what were those again?
Concentration, clarity, and equanimity.
Okay.
And so that's going to filter out into your whole life and become a natural part of your being.
Okay.
You're going to want a group that is pretty focused on the meditation. So you can look online. There are many cities will have, if you look up meditation in Seattle or whatever, there'll be a listing. But also you want to look up words like Vipassana, which is the Buddhist term for this early style of meditation that I mentioned, where you're watching and allowing. That's spelled Vipassana.
Okay.
So oddly, a lot of places still use that term.
Okay, good. That's good to know.
You can look up mindfulness or insight meditation.
Okay.
And look up meditation in general. But you might come up with other styles of meditation which are great, but are not what I'm talking about.
So when we talk about meditation and where we find it in the community, there's a two-part to this next question. One is, do you find that meditation comes with other exercises like yoga? And if that is not, a yes, the other question is, how does meditation enhance other exercises that you might do?
Cool. So yoga is an interesting one.
Okay.
Because yoga historically was a kind of meditation. Now it's become, or I should say recently it became just a sort of exercise and stretching, and now it's tending back to bring in some of that meditation stuff.
Okay. Mindfulness.
Yeah. So a lot of yoga studios will either begin or end with some meditation.
Okay.
In fact, the Shavasana, when you just lie
down. For sure, my favorite.
That is absolutely perfect time for some awareness of the body, and just feeling the sensations of having finished the yoga. So that is
a little bit of
that
meditation.
Is absolutely meditation.
Okay, so if you get a chance to stay at the end of class, I know for me, I'll go into a yoga class, and at the end, I'm so tempted to stay, but then I know I've got to run out. So if you can get that extra 5 minutes in, it's probably one of the most important mental, ways to kind of bring it all back home and together. Yeah. So that's something really important to keep in mind.
Right. I would still encourage you to look for a meditation community. Okay. Sometimes they call themselves Sangha, Sangha, which just means community in Sanskrit.
Okay.
Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, all that sort of thing. They're very meditative practices.
So now if somebody's getting into meditation, we now know what it is, we know it's healthy for you, it's a great augmentation to a healthy lifestyle. What are some of the challenges that people face? I can probably guess a couple, but what are some of the things people challenge when going into a practice for the first time?
Discipline.
Okay.
That was what you were thinking, right?
I was actually thinking just sitting here, but now that I know I can walk through the woods and do it, I'm much more further along into this. Yeah.
So in the first instance, sitting still and just physically sitting still can be challenging.
Okay.
connected with that is as soon as you start to meditate and watch your thoughts, for example, or watch your breath, you're going to notice that there's a whole lot more thinking going on in there than you ever thought there was. And most people will say, I can't do this because I can't stop my thoughts. There's too many thoughts. We're not trying to stop our thoughts.
We're just trying to collect them.
Well, we're just trying to change our relationship.
Okay.
Our brains evolved to be able to think complexly. We would have been eaten by saber-toothed tigers if we didn't have a whole lot of other stuff going on while we're hunting.
You know, we talked about the benefits, the health benefits, but let's recap that again. So now I've found a practice, and I've posted through the challenges, and I've made the time, and I've found a group, and I'm growing in my practice.
Right.
What are some of the health benefits, again, that you can find it helps you overcome or change as you continue your practice and increase that level?
So I would say there's two prongs to that. One is what is just a natural result of meditating regularly.
Okay.
So say you go every Monday night, you do 45 minutes of meditation, and maybe you do 10 minutes 3 times a week at home.
Okay.
And that's all you do. You're still going to find this greater presence in everyday life. So you're going to be more aware of what's going on in your body, what's going on in your mind. You're going to be reducing your stress and your anxiety. You may not notice it, but after a year, you look back, you're going to be amazed that you're not fighting with your partner so much, or whatever. So there's these things that will happen just as a side effect. But the other problem is, you remember I said that a mindfulness technique is one in which you either develop or apply those skills. So if you have a specific issue, then you can apply the skills of concentration, clarity, and equanimity to that issue. And there are different ways of doing that. But say, for example, I'm getting over pneumonia. I've got some pain in my ribs. When that pain is quite bad, I can pay attention to it and apply equanimity, which is allowing the pain to be there. Sensory clarity, which helps me to see that the pain isn't so bad as my thoughts about the pain make it worse. And so in that way, I'm reducing my suffering. So you can do that with any physical situation, any emotional pain. You can learn how to apply the techniques to that, and it's really amazing what can be done.
Now, if I'm an individual just getting started and we find a place to go practice, what are your recommendations, if any, to learning and getting ready to partake in that? Is there any recommendations on reading or
like
learning?
Before you go to your first
I mean, is there anything that might help them better benefit from it outside of interviews and things like this?
That's a good question. I suppose it depends really on yourself and what you're wanting to get out of it, and what kind of group you're going to. If you're going to a group that's specifically Buddhist, and you are the type to be uncomfortable around things you don't understand, you might want to read a little bit about that, because they're likely to use some jargon.
Yeah, the terms sometimes can be what, we've even used some long words today that I'm sure, can be intimidating. And I really encourage people to put those types of things aside when you're practicing something new, because it's really the movement and the practice that you're looking for. The words will follow once you start to do it.
Yeah, the intellectual understanding of what's going on is not what changes your life. Now, many places now recognize this and will have like once a month they'll have a beginners group just before the meeting, where you get a 30-minute introduction to what's going to happen. If that is not the case, you might just go early and speak to whoever looks like they're in charge. And say, I'm new here.
Help me understand.
Another thing is that some places you'll go in and you'll find everyone sitting on cushions with their legs crossed and their back straight. And it's not necessary to do that. You can sit in a chair. And most places will have chairs. And if you find that sitting still for that long is uncomfortable, then move. A lot of people will not be moving, and you'll think, oh, I'm not allowed to move. But no, you're not here to hurt yourself.
Now, okay, so we've talked about a lot, but before we go, we have a few minutes left. And I want to talk a little bit about where you teach, and I really want you to incorporate in that answer how this walking in the woods thing goes, because that's really intriguing to me.
Okay. So, Still Point Meditation, we do not have a space of our own. So I come to you, or if you're local, you can come to me. I can also come to you via Skype or whatever.
That's good to know too, yeah.
So I've been to health fairs, I've been to a rock climbing competition. They had me introduce a meditation with the competitors before they started.
That's really unique.
That's corporate stuff. So I'm available to go wherever,
That's good to know, yeah.
Now, one of the places that I like to go is into the woods.
A walk in the woods.
A walk in the woods.
Great concept, right?
So
That's
I call it a guided walk through the here and now.
I love it.
So probably if any of you are hikers, you've had the experience of going for a hike. It's a beautiful day, you're in the woods, it's just perfect, and you get back to the parking lot and realize that you were thinking the whole way and you missed all of the beauty.
Yeah.
Right? That ever happened?
Mm-hmm.
So what I teach you is some basic techniques for observing what's going on externally.
Okay.
And keeping your attention, because you know you can say, I'm going to attend to the view, and then you don't.
Okay,
Because
right.
you know, no one ever taught you how to pay attention.
Right.
So I'll teach you some techniques on how to pay attention to what you hear, what you feel,
What you see.
and what you see.
That's amazing.
And yeah, I've had a lot of
I
good
think more
feedback.
people would be more inclined to want to do that as a first time, because that way they don't feel like they're sitting and uncomfortable.
Right.
They're actually enjoying, and a lot of people sit all day anyways.
Right.
So why make them sit more?
Yeah.
And now, any closing thoughts? Because I know that we have to wrap it up here, and you know everyone's available to reach out to you. I'll include your information. But as we conclude this interview, is there any last thoughts you'd give somebody who's starting a practice
Yeah,
or interested in?
I would say, well, go for it. But also, if your first experience or experiences aren't what you were hoping, then keep trying. Try different techniques, try different groups. There's something out there that is going to click, and it'll be worth your while. I promise you it'll be worth your while.
That's good. Well, I really appreciate you stopping in,
It's been a lot of fun.
because I've learned a lot, and I'm sure the viewers have learned a lot, and I'm continuing to build my knowledge and will continue to share. But this is a great baseline, and
And you're all welcome to contact me if you have further questions.
Yep.
If you live elsewhere in the world and can't find a place to meditate,
That's a
I've
good
got
point.
a lot of contacts.
that's a good one. Yes, and we'll include Pez's information so that you can get it easily, and then reach out to her. Thank you.
All right, thank you.